What's going on, everyone? Phil here for KOGaming, and this video is going to be a little different than what you're used to on this channel. It's certainly not going to be a review. It's more of me just venting, getting something off my chest that's been bothering me for a while, so I guess you can consider it more of a rant. Let's talk about LEGO in regards to video games. LEGO video games are huge. They are everywhere. They're covering every major movie franchise, from Star Wars to Harry Potter to Indiana Jones. They've covered multiple different comic book worlds, including both Marvel and DC, and it seems that if you have a major pop culture franchise, eventually it's going to be LEGOized and made into a video game. These games have become big business as of late, becoming major bestsellers that usually are catered more towards a family-friendly setting, or kids in particular. I've only played a few LEGO games over the years. In fact, it was before my time on YouTube when I enjoyed playing through certain games like some of the original Star Wars and Indiana Jones, at a time when the Xbox 360 was hot and I was just trying to earn some new achievement points for playing through some pretty easy games. Over the years, since I have been doing YouTube videos, there's been a few LEGO games here or there that I've touched upon, including ones such as Batman, as well as Lord of the Rings, and then in particular last year, my girlfriend Leanna and I decided to sit down and play LEGO Jurassic World. Now let me tell you something, we had a fun time playing this game. It's actually rare when I sit down with my girlfriend and we take the time to do any kind of a cooperative playthrough, so it was kind of a special thing for us, and boy did it turn out well. The game covered all three of the major motion pictures of Jurassic Park that had already been released, as well as the new Jurassic World movie that at the time was newly released in theaters. It did it really awesomely, using the voice acting from the movies that admittedly didn't sound great in all situations, sometimes taking upon some pretty old audio clips, but for the most part, reliving those franchises in a video game, doing all those kind of really epic movie moments and being interactive with them was a really awesome experience to share with my girlfriend. And in addition, the tongue-in-cheek humor, the little quirkiness of the LEGO games just added to the overall experience. There were a few frustrating parts, but for the most part, LEGO Jurassic World was an awesome experience to play with my girlfriend Leanna, and we decided that we would probably want to check out other LEGO games in the future. So fast forward to about a month later, the midsummer of 2015, Leanna and I said, let's play another LEGO game as a fun cooperative thing that we can do over the pretty dead summer when there weren't a lot of new game releases. So we decided to play LEGO Batman 3, which covered this expanse of the entire DC universe, including such heroes as Superman, Wonder Woman, and a bunch of other supervillains as well. I'll be honest, even though we didn't absolutely love the game, it still was a pretty fun experience. I think one of the main differences between LEGO Jurassic World and LEGO Batman 3 is that this Batman game is a unique plot. You're not reliving epic movie moments or things that are synonymous with your growing up and watching movies over the course of 10 or more years. For this was just an original plot, so it was kind of doing something a little different than Jurassic World was, and so it didn't resonate within us as much as that previous game had. But it was about a few hours into the playthrough, after playing an incredibly long stage, about 45 minutes in, all of a sudden we hit a game-crippling bug. Now you may say, what, did the game just crash and completely not work? No, nothing like that, but we got to this certain puzzle that you needed to solve in order to enter the next room and continue on with the stage, and for whatever reason, we just couldn't figure out what we were doing wrong. We had built everything that was in the room, we had basically destroyed everything once, twice, 3 times over, we had used all of our characters' abilities, and we just couldn't figure out what it was that we were doing wrong. So after about literally 30 minutes of trying to figure this out and saying, man, we just must be really stupid or something, because LEGO games are supposed to be for kids, we took to the internet to try to figure out what exactly had happened. Well, we weren't exactly satisfied with our answer, because the answer was that the game decided to not load properly and not actually have the components in the room to complete a puzzle and therefore move on to the next area of the game. So after being so frustrated, over 45 minutes trying to figure out this puzzle, having to look up the answer, we said, alright, what the hell, we'll just reload the checkpoint and we'll move on from there. Unfortunately, it wasn't that easy. Now, in any other game, we would have just reloaded the checkpoint, right? But in LEGO games, there is no option to reload from a checkpoint. You'll go and look in your menu, up and down all around. The only options are to resume or to completely exit the game, upon which you're warned if you quit the game, you will lose all of your checkpoint progress. So, what exactly are you supposed to do? Leanna even brought up during that time period, gee, why isn't there an option to say kill off all of the characters a la Little Big Planet so that maybe you could just restart from a checkpoint? Or why isn't there just a simple menu option to reload from the previous checkpoint? It doesn't exist in LEGO games, and it just baffled us. We sat there staring at the screen, wondering what we were supposed to do. Well, after basically figuring we were going to have to replay the stage from the start, that's about a 45-minute replaying of a stage that we were at the very end of. We threw our hands up into the air and said, enough is enough. We're not playing LEGO Batman 3 anymore. Maybe we just had bad luck or whatever. We'll take a break from the LEGO franchise, and maybe we'll return at a future date. And so, over the course of the rest of 2015, and even in early 2016, we purposely avoided anything LEGO related so that we didn't get burnt out and we didn't have that negative feeling kind of lingering in the back of our heads. In fact, LEGO Avengers released in early this year, and we said we're just gonna skip it, you know, just so that way we don't get any kind of negative overtones on the playthrough. Let's wait until there's another one that we really would like to play. And it finally came to fruition late this June when LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens was released. Now, Leanna and I had actually seen this movie in theaters. We had recently purchased the Blu-ray of the movie in order to watch the movie and be kind of caught up on the plot lines of it and be familiar with it. So when we played this game as a cooperative playthrough, we remember all the scenes and be able to say, oh, I remember that from the movie or this and that. And for the most part, the game did a pretty good job, although it needs to be said up front that LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens is the very first LEGO game that covers an entire movie in one game and nothing else. If you actually look at the previous LEGO entries, it was like, oh, LEGO's the original trilogy, or LEGO's the prequel trilogy, where you had multiple movies covered in one game, and so you'd say, okay, if the game's going to be 8 hours long, cool, spend around 2 hours on each movie. Taking the plot line of Star Wars The Force Awakens and stretching it from a 2.5-hour movie into a 6 to 7 hour game, we kind of knew that there were going to be segments that were either going to drag on or that wouldn't have taken, you know, place in the movie that were going to be in the game, and we were wondering, would this be a game that would drag out too long? Would it have too much silly stuff in it? And here's what we found. First off, in typical LEGO fashion, all of the major plot points and major occurrences of The Force Awakens are present in the game, although LEGO definitely takes some creative control, especially with some of the more gruesome or adult-oriented events in the movie, such as when a character dies, instead of them being executed by a lightsaber, here they get tossed comedically off into space in a fashion that would obviously probably make a little kid laugh rather than cringe at a brutal death. So it makes sense that there would actually be those kinds of changes. In addition, for the first time ever, this game actually has cover shooting mechanics, which threw us for a loop, because I've never seen anything like that in a LEGO game before, and obviously in a game that's full of little light gun battles, it makes sense to have it in this one as the first one with that kind of mechanic. And then there's some things that I definitely think didn't need to be in the game, including some open world roaming segments where you're going from point A to point B, and it's obvious you can't do much in these segments right off the get-go. You need to unlock characters optionally later on in the story of the game in order to even open them up. But for the most part, it wasn't too boring or taking too much away from the story advancement, in my opinion. However, there were a few points in the game where it was a simple cutscene or a simple little plot elaboration during the movie that maybe took 5 seconds that this game drew out to 45-minute stages. In particular, it was a couple of these stages that ended up causing some game-crippling bugs that completely annoyed Leanna and I. Let's talk a little bit about them. First off, in the movie when Han, Chewie, and Finn meet up with Princess Leia once again and the Resistance, and they talk a little bit about laying out their plans on how the Rebels are going to try to take over the Starkiller base, the scene lasts about maybe 5 minutes tops and has some cool character interactions. In the game, it's a 35-minute long stage full of puzzles and just silly side jokes that make absolutely no sense. Okay, I can understand that this is the LEGO style of humor, but when I have to spend 35 minutes collecting Wookiee cookies and trying to get get ice cream to give to an alien so he'll open a door so I can load my X-Wing to go attack the Starkiller base. I mean, really, it's a lot of padding, and it gets pretty excessive. Now, in particular, during this mission that really has nothing whatsoever to do with the movie, if you can believe it, it was getting the crate of ice cream that led to a game-crippling bug. At one point, you have to control a conveyor belt by using BB-8 to hack into a computer system and get it to start moving this golden crate that apparently is filled with Beebleberry ice cream. Well, when I was moving this conveyor belt, that crate got all the way down to the end and then decided to get stuck instead of landing into the final platform that would have flipped it outside and allowed us to continue the puzzle. The problem being, as I already previously mentioned with LEGO Batman 3, there is no option to load from a checkpoint in LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens. The checkpoints exist, but they don't actually resume anything. So we tried everything. We tried different characters. We tried restarting the puzzle. We tried killing each other multiple times. Everything, nothing worked. And eventually we resigned and said, well, after trying to get this to work for about 10 minutes, it seems there's just no way around it. We're going to have to quit out of the game, lose all of our checkpoint progress, and we're going to have to re-enter the stage at a future date, replay through it, and continue on with the playthrough. We did, because you know what? Up to that point, we were pretty much having a decent amount of fun with the game, and we said, all right, this is really annoying and silly, and we laughed about it, and we said, we're not going to let it get too much to us. Let's just continue on with the playthrough. And the next time that we did play the game, it took about 25 minutes to rush through the stage at maximum speed and beat it again, but indeed we did and continued on with the game. Little did we know that the next game bug would happen in the exact same session as replaying that stage for 25 minutes. This one took place during the invasion of the Starkiller base during the segment in the movie when Han Solo and Chewie are laying bombs to blow it up. Well, in the game, once again, they decide to put in massive padding by making this 2-second thing during the movie get stretched out to about a 15-minute segment of solving several puzzles and such, by which they're building and then setting the bombs to destroy the base. Unfortunately, there's this one part where there's a drone trapped in some kind of a contraption. I'm not sure what the heck it's supposed to be. And basically, Leanna and I thought, oh, maybe there's some hidden items in this thing. Because the bottom line is with these LEGO games, it's not just about building things and progressing on, but it's about collecting and finding secrets, right? How many mini kits can you find? How many hidden red blocks can you find? How many little Lego pieces can you find hidden throughout the stages? So we thought, oh, there's probably something hidden back here. Well, we go back there, we start building. Next thing you know, Leanna is trapped inside. So now I'm frantically trying to figure out a way that maybe I can get her out of here, because I know there's no way to load from a checkpoint. So I start shooting around. I shoot her and kill her. Unfortunately, her character Chewbacca is still stuck inside this stupid contraption. So then I run over there, and then I got stuck inside of it. So now we had both of us stuck inside of this stupid part of the game. And again, because there's no foresight or conscious thought from the game developers to think, gee, maybe something could go wrong with our perfect game, there's no way to reload from a checkpoint, and you can't even kill yourself again a la Little Big Planet and have yourself respawn somewhere out of harm's way. It makes no sense. This is 2016, people. It's not 10 years ago, and LEGO certainly isn't a new franchise. This thing has been around the block, and for this day and age, for there to be a major AAA LEGO release covering one of the biggest movie releases of the past several years, to have a game that doesn't have modernized game mechanics like loading from a freaking checkpoint, it's completely unacceptable. I can't believe that I paid $60 for a game that if something goes wrong because of the game mechanics, that now we have to replay the entire stage from the start. To make matters worse, the Starkiller base stage is pretty much the longest one in the game. We had already played for almost 35 minutes when we ran into this game-crippling bug, and at that point we were so furious at the game, we were like, enough is enough. We just don't even want to continue. Who says we want to go reload this stage, play for another 35 minutes to get to the end of it just so something else would happen? And that's it. I got to put my foot down and say, you know what? I don't know what's going on with the LEGO franchise. I don't know what Traveler's Tales Fusion is doing with all of these new games, or how much attention to development they're actually putting into them. You gotta at least put in modern game mechanics that other games already have had for the greater part of 10 years. A checkpoint system not only should be implemented, but you should be able to load from a previous checkpoint. You should be able to kill yourself and respawn at a safe spot on the stage so that if you get stuck, there's no problems here. Can you imagine if a small child or two small children, siblings, are playing this Lego game and they get stuck and they don't know what the hell they're supposed to do, and then they have to replay for 40 minutes? They're not going to replay it. They're going to say to their mom, "This game's a piece of garbage, Mom. I don't want these Lego games anymore." I don't understand how it is that this isn't a major problem. Now, the funny thing is, when I started talking about this on Twitter last night, tons of people responded and said, "Well, we don't have those problems, Phil. We've played through all these Lego games. You just have bad luck." You know, I'll put it this way. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. But now I've had two back-to-back Lego games that have had incredibly similar problems with things not loading, things not happening the way the game designers intended, and having no method to actually fix it without replaying an entire stage from the start. Sorry, but I'm not going to get fooled again. Until Traveler's Tales figures out how to put modern gameplay mechanics into their Lego series, I won't be playing their games again. And let me tell you, it won't be a huge loss. These games are fun, and certainly for a cooperative experience, again, with your family or your kids or a significant other, maybe they're a little bit of a fun to do together, but they're not giant, momentous entries in gaming that I absolutely have to play. After two stinkers, there's no way I'm putting down $60 for whatever their next big endeavor is, unless I somehow get convinced because they have these more modern gameplay mechanics, like loading from a checkpoint or being able to respawn safely. Enough is enough. Traveler's Tales, you fooled me twice. Yeah, that's it. I'm now going to learn from my experience and stay away from your damned games until you make them modern. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm the unluckiest dude on the planet, but I have had enough. So, am I totally off base here? I mean, am I the only person that's ever had these kind of issues in a Lego game? Leave a comment on the video and let me know your personal experiences with this franchise and what you think of the fact that they still, in 2016, don't have modern gameplay mechanics in their games. At any rate, thanks for allowing me to vent a little bit in this rant, and thank you for watching. Please spread the word about KOGaming. Please check the video description if you'd like to see maybe our raw gameplay of The Force Awakens if you don't believe what I showed you in this video is real. And also check out the Amazon associate link as well as my Patreon. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time here on KOGaming.